So often we get caught up in life and we say, where is God? What is going on? Why is this happening? But we must always remember that God is sovereign, that will never change, and He is full of justice, balanced with mercy. The book of Job is a classic in world literature for many reasons. It deals with the universal problem of human suffering. It brilliantly gives the reader a behind-the-scenes look at circumstances of which the main character is unaware. It is beautifully crafted, and it has a surprise ending that satisfies the reader and the main character, for different reasons. But biblical theologians appreciate Job for another reasons. Job deals with the vindication of a good God in the face of evil or suffering. Put another way, Job raises the subject of God's sovereignty, God's ability to do whatever He wants according to His holy will and nature, James 1:13. In the book of Job, its namesake struggles with God's silence perhaps as much as His actions. Job endured immense loss and could not understand why God allowed it. In his mind, his suffering that he experienced had to be deserved. Job was willing to suffer, but was adamant about knowing what he had done to deserve his pain. However, Job's understanding was deficient. He failed to account for God's sovereignty. Moses would later remind the Israelites that God had revealed many things to humans in His Word, but the secret things belong to the Lord our God, Deuteronomy 29:29. Because God is sovereign, He is free to act secretly out of His own will, and because He is holy and good, His actions will always have a positive intent and a productive end. God did in Job's life what He did in the life of the nation of Israel. As He led the Hebrew slaves out of Egypt, headed for the Promised Land, the quickest route would have been due east, then north, around the southeast corner of the Mediterranean Sea, the common trade route between Egypt and Canaan. But that route led through Philistine territory, and the Lord knew that His people would run straight back to Egypt once they saw the Philistines on the horizon. So without telling Moses or the Hebrews why, as far as we know, He led them south into the Sinai wilderness, Exodus 13:17 and 18. There at the base of Mount Sinai, the people met the God who had rescued them and began to learn His ways. Only later did they begin to appreciate exactly who He was and what He had done for them. Likewise, what God allowed in Job's life made no earthly sense to Job. God acted sovereignly and secretly, permitting Job to be afflicted for a period of time. Satan thought Job would curse God when his blessings were removed. God wanted to show that Job would remain faithful, and God was right. Then Job's wife said to him, "Do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die." But he said to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from God and not adversity?" In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Job 2:9 and 10 tells us this. Though Job suffered and complained as the Israelites did when they were detoured into the wilderness, he ultimately learned what he had lacked. God is sovereign and good and can be trusted when evidence and detractors suggest otherwise. At the end of the book, when Job had exhausted his attempts to extract from God or his friends the reason for his suffering, God speaks. For 4 chapters, 38-41, God reveals to Job that He is sovereign and good, and Job reaches the only conclusion that makes sense for such a sovereignty and character. Then Job answered and said to the Lord, "I know that You can do everything, and that no purpose of Yours can be withheld from You. You asked, 'Who is this who hides counsel without knowledge?' Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me which I did not know." Job 42:1-3.